Okay, so as a target individual, they try to paint us in different fashion. You see this picture here. Matter of fact, oh my gosh, just 2 seconds ago, I wanted to confirm who this person was, and I tried to look away and made sure that I don't have a clear visual of this person. Obviously, one person there is obviously Tiger Woods, but initially, this person next to him, I thought, or I'm not sure if they made me think this way, but I thought that was his girlfriend. I know Tiger Woods dates very young people, right? And so for a second there, I was like, oh, maybe that's his girlfriend, right? That's his new girlfriend. I think since he got divorced, he kept dating some super young individual. So initially, I thought it was this girlfriend, but actually, this is his daughter. I was like, oh wow, that's his daughter. Well, I didn't say wow, but I was like, oh, that's his daughter. And then I realized, okay, maybe that's why they were forcing me to see her. And at the same time, I was getting stimulation. Now, the stimulation I'm having is anybody who looks young, even if they're not adults, even if they're not kids, they force me stimulation because what they're doing right now is force me to get sexual stimulation toward children because they try to paint this persona. And 2 seconds ago, I looked up when the kids were born, and I made sure it's like, do not look at the with a picture of this person because if that's a kid, they're gonna force me to get sexual stimulation because they're already creating sexual stimulation. So I was like, don't look away, don't look, and you hear me struggling to speak because they're trying to make it hard and make me nervous and identify with this manipulation. So I look up the year born, and there's a picture. I think the same time period picture, and it comes up. I can't even look at exactly what that person looked like. It's the same person. It's this person, but she's born in 2007, so she's a 16-year-old kid. She's a child, and that's why they were forcing me to get sexual stimulation. Now, the initial thought of thinking that was Tiger Woods' girlfriend is more like, okay, maybe because he's dating younger individual, and her, she can maybe pass for like a very young adult or something like that. Perhaps that's why. But you gotta understand, these perps leave off what they can create in my head. You know what validates them? That I would think that this is Tiger Woods' girlfriend. Now, for me to think that is because perhaps there's a perception that she's a young adult. I don't think Tiger Woods is out here dating kids, but I know he dates very young people, very young adults. So for me to perceive her as Tiger Woods' girlfriend, obviously there's a perception that maybe she looks like a young adultish. Now the stimulation they make me have is just falsified. I mean, I'm not gonna look at her every naturally, organically, and feel like some vibration in my private part. Matter of fact, oh thank God I wasn't able to see the picture that was presented on Google when you search for like birth child. When were Tiger Woods' children were born? When? And the first one comes up is in 2007. This kid, she's like only 16 years old. She was born in 2007. And there's a picture of her, I think here, that comes up, pops on the side, but I don't really have a good look of that picture because I know I'm being manipulated. With the little I've seen, they're stimulating me so bad already. Woo! It was so intense. I'm like, imagine if I just saw her. And that's because she's a kid. That's it. They are thirsty. They are desperate to paint me as this fashion. That's anything that they can do to make it look like this is me. They'll do it. Now, this initial picture that you see here is obviously a picture that if you don't see the title, one may think, okay, is that Tiger Woods dating this like young person? And when I mean young, I mean like young adults. Then when I went down and said, oh, daughter, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not sure his kid's age is his young daughter, like his daughter is a kid still, or she's like a young adult at this point. Because initially looking at this picture, I'm thinking even that's his girlfriend. I think this is Tiger Woods' girlfriend. And for them, it's like, oh, that's proof. And at the same time, by the way, as always, they give me stimulation. But at this point, the stimulation, I don't even, it's like they don't even phase me anymore because they do that to even people who look young. Like they can be like young adults. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's one of those young adults. They forcing me to get sexual stimulation toward. I don't care too much about it. But the reason why they were stimulating me is actually because he's a child. Now, you hear the preps outside. Oh, you're going to spend the weekend in jail. You're going to be raped and this and that. And they tell me how they're going to frame me having a child. He was like the same age of this kid, like 16 years old, said that I raped him. And everybody got quiet as if they got like validation. he thought she was an adult. I was like, I thought it was Tiger Woods' girlfriend, at least, and I think they made me think this way. But I don't think it would be hard for me to think that way. It's like, oh, is that Tiger Woods' new girlfriend? Because Tiger Woods nowadays is dating very young people and people perhaps not too much older than his kid, maybe 4 or 5 years older than his kid. So for me, it's like, okay, he's once again he's getting some young girl, like some young adults, like that. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not interested in the sense like, oh, who's that? I was like, no, I get stimulation because I'm manipulated to get that, but I ignore them because I know it's like this is what they do. Anybody who looks young, I'm gonna get this stimulation. Not to say there's anything wrong with her, good for her. But I'm like, okay, I'm this is nothing to do. Like it doesn't do anything to me naturally. Of course, I'm gonna get stimulation because anybody who looks like a kid, even if they're not kids, they're gonna give me stimulation. And this perps at this point desperate to paint a picture that's falsified and wanting me to feel guilty. I'm like, I'm not gonna feel guilty. What do you mean? First of all, I know the stimulation is what you make me have, and second of all, my perception is that this person is Tiger Woods' girlfriend, not his daughter. So for me to think that's Tiger Woods' girlfriend, obviously it looks like perhaps she looks like some young adult looking. Do you understand how stupid it is? It's like, oh, it's not fair. It's like, yes, it's fair. Because you use this as a way to validate yourself. Not only I'm being manipulated to have this reaction stimulation, but then you're like, okay, but you thought this person was the girlfriend of Tiger Woods, not the daughter. I was like, well, because Tiger Woods dates very young people, adult people, of course. That means that she could pass for somebody who's a young adult, and she's with Tiger Woods in this fashion. So I'm thinking maybe that's it, that's his girlfriend, and I didn't even know Tiger Woods had like a child that was a girl. But these perps have nothing to hold on to. Reality is what they design, and they want me to feel bad. How can I feel bad? Target individual or anybody watching this is all they use to try to make you acceptive of these manipulations. They not only force you to get a reaction, then they try to use logic. I wouldn't be surprised because the title of daughter came later on. So they could easily make me not see the fact that this is the daughter. So I can start creating thoughts like, oh, this is that's his new girlfriend. Okay. So what does it mean if I think that's the girlfriend of Tiger Woods? It means that I think that she's a young adult. And so I guess the issue here is that you didn't guess right. Well, I'm not gonna guess people's age right. I don't. I don't. I'm not here to guess people's age, but I'm being forced to get sexual stimulations. And me looking at this person and thinking, oh, maybe that's his girlfriend because I know he dates young individuals. Some of them being young adult. You know, that's a perception of somebody who you think that in my brain that's enough for them to be like, now we proved that we're adults. And I'm hearing these perps that are not adults, just like this person who's trying to use that as validation, because in this picture I'm made to think that she's the girlfriend, or at least this is not a hard thought to try to make somebody thinking. I know they can alter my thought process and make me think this way, but it's not something that's crazy to think about. It's not crazy to look at them. It's like, oh, maybe that's his new girlfriend. It's not crazy. She does pass a little bit like a young adult, and he does date very young adults. So yeah, that's definitely something that can be thought of in that way. But they're forcing me to get sexual stimulation, and for them now they utilize that as validation. It's like, you see, we adults, and they send these perps that are supposed to frame me and say that I raped them. Teenage kids like her. They're like, you're trash. You just decide pathetic life. I will never identify with this manipulation. You're forcing me to get sexual stimulation. What got me the most is the fact that they do these arousals. And these perps don't have nothing to hold on to, so this is how they validate themselves. Target individual, they want you to go with this flow of retardation, and they have to call it retardation because look at this. Look, for me, I put that in their faces. Like, so you're saying that what makes me, what validates you is for me to look at this and have a thought, which I know there's them pushing me to think this way, but I gotta say, it's not gonna be too hard to push me to think this way. That this is Tiger Woods' girlfriend, not daughter. You gotta understand, this is how stupid it is. And they're like, so they got silenced. They got silenced, and they're quiet, and as if like, oh my gosh, you proved that you thought it was his girlfriend, not his daughter. And the daughter is only 16 years old. That's what the stimulation was happening. But they do that to even young adults. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's because she's just a young person. It's like, God, that's proof. And I look it up. I look up her age. Oh my gosh, thank God. Just the blur of her picture, stimulation in my head, even right now, they still try to concoct some kind of perception that's sexual. Stimulation crazy. Try to make me think in these ways and try to create a perception of like adulthood. It's like she's a teenage kid. Okay. I know in my brain right now, because you can create this fashion of perceiving these kids like that, is you're going to do that easily, especially because you can make her pass like an older kid, like a young adult. So I didn't even look at her clearly. It was just the perception that's being played in this fashion, because they want me to be identifying with this manipulation. And they even try to create doubt, because I saw the age. Okay, 16. Okay, that's 16. It's like, oh, maybe. And in my brain, they start creating these battles, right? They like to create these battles. It's like, no, she's 16. But they're like, maybe the date didn't give you the age exactly. It's like, okay. I look it up again. The picture comes up, boom, on the side. Oh, man, I look away. But I can see, like, the outfit already. They start to. It's this picture here, actually. And try to, like, create perceptions. I'm like, oh, okay, it's because she's a kid. That's why. And she's a kid, an older kid, that they can easily make me perceive her as an adult. If they can do that to the babies, right, and they can do horrible things with the babies in regard to perceptions, the older kids, they can really, it's easy, right? The perception of them being adults can be easily manipulated because they're getting close to adulthood. Some of them almost look like adults. So for me, I know the game. You just can't lose. You can just get lost in this retardation. They're trying to make you acceptive of whatever. They're trying to make you acceptive of what you're experiencing. I know who I am, and I know this manipulation is what they do, right? Let me just repeat. The reason why I make this video is because it's two reasons. One, this preps right now tell me how they're gonna frame me, that's this and that. They're framing. These are the people in your brain who's supposed to paint you in this light. I'm hearing children telling me how they're gonna frame me, and they're gonna say that I raped them, right? Frame me in this way. They want me to see this level of validation. These things for them is validation, as if it makes sense. Of course, I know it's not reality, so I'm ready for whatever happens, but I will never let this trash escape. This, for me, in my brain, it started making me think that it's the girlfriend of Tiger Woods. It's not hard to make me think this way, because if you look at them, Tiger Woods have a tendency of dating very young people. This person can pass for a very young adult. It's easy to kind of create that perception. So it's not too hard to think that this is Tiger Woods' girlfriend. But I'm sure this is what the word made me think. Shortly after, you can see the title say daughter of Tiger Woods. So at the bottom later on, you see the title, right? Now, like I said, they are gonna use whatever they can to make me feel doubtful about everything. Matter of fact, what they're doing now is like, oh, you see, you didn't guess the right age. You thought she was the girlfriend of Tiger Woods. So they bring up, oh, but remember with that person and this Asian in Canada, this Asian Canadian, how like they go back to try to make me feel doubtful of people I've was with, to try to make me think, you see that person there that you were with in Canada, she was not in, like, stop it, because they're like, you see here, you guessed wrong. I was like, first of all, you are in my head, okay? These people make it even hard for me. Even children, like, that are obviously kids, it's hard for me to look at them without them creating some perception. Second of all, they're gonna try to use whatever to use to make me feel doubtful. For example, there's this person I was with. She was 19 years old. I was 26 years old. They like to say, "Oh, she was 19, huh?" Okay. There's another person in Canada. She's like, oh no, she was not. So they look for whatever they can create to falsify a narration. Because what's happening today is they're forcing me to have sexual stimulation toward children, and they are framing me even right now in real time with a child saying that I've raped them or them or her or whatever the quantity or the people, I don't know, but there's a frame of some sort, and this for them is validation. That's me being forced. And let me just say that even though it's them who control my thoughts to think that way, it's not a crazy thought. I don't know if it was myself, I would be like, hey, this is not this girlfriend. It's this is a thought that could be experienced for real. But I know it's them manipulating me. I know they play this game, but it was not hard for them to manipulate me to have this thought process of thinking that this is Tiger Woods' girlfriend, and then slowly go down. I was like, oh, this is the daughter. I was like, okay, well, I can't really guess her age. Look, just looking at her, is she like a young adult or like a late teenager? And she's a late teenager, 16-year old, so not even that late of a teenager. So because of that, and it in this picture, you can easily perceive her as just a young adult there, because maybe it's maybe the makeup and whatever the way she's presenting herself in this picture, but it's something they can do. Listen, they do that to babies who are 10-year old, try to make me look at them like they're adults. It's so nasty. So an older kid, the easier they can do it to create this perception. And for me, it's been a game of trying to convince me that what the way they painting me makes sense. Of course it doesn't. It, Let me just repeat that. Now the validation for them, and I want to say that, is that I'm thinking initially, or I'm made to think that this is Tiger Woods' girlfriend. Scrolling down a little bit, seeing the daughter. I was like, oh, she's the daughter. Now at this point, it's about guessing how old is the daughter. I was like, okay, this is the type of age range where I'm like, I'm not sure just by looking at this picture. It can go either way. Only 16. She's a baby. Even me looking up her age, the picture that was presented, I didn't see I didn't have a clear picture of her. They're trying to create in my head a perception to think of her more of like an adult, and they can easily do that because they do that to the little kids, like babies, and try to use that as validation. I think the reason why they were making me think of looking up her age again to see her picture better, so they can create more perceptions. So for me, as a target individual, I understand the games. I understand the persona. I understand the doubt they try to implant in us. This is part of the games. This is about this game theory thing. This tactics of cognitive warfare they're utilizing to make you acceptive as a target individual in this persona, this falsified persona. They're gonna use whatever they can. They're gonna use whatever they can. It's about creating a profile that's falsified, a persona that's falsified. Right now, they even bring. But I remember in 2014, you followed this person on Snapchat. You thought you see that's to try to make me acceptive of these manipulations. I know who I am, and target individual do not identify with the psyops. Do not identify with the implantation of this persona they try to paint you as. They are trying to gaslight you into accepting this persona. They're trying to gaslight you to accepting this manipulation. They're literally telling you they're gonna frame you. Can you imagine people in your brain telling you they're gonna frame you? They can manipulate your thought process. How do you think they're gonna make you think? And they're framing you using children, meaning that they're gonna frame you saying that they're gonna say that you raped a child here, who's, I don't know, maybe 16 years old. Every day they say different ages. I don't know. Target individuals, stay strong. I'm so glad I'm able to articulate myself when I can. They will paint this false reality, and I'm here to show and to give you a testimonial of the things they do to us as this cognitive warfare that we're test subject to. There's perps outside that tell me you're gonna do this and that. They try to create anxiety to make me identify with these manipulations. Like, no, you know what? Listen to this. Just because you made me think this person was Tiger Woods' girlfriend, which means then that the perception of this person at this point is thinking that she's like some young adult. So now what you're doing is just saying, oh, but she guessed the way she looked wrong or something. I was like, okay, well, this is easy manipulation. You do that to the babies, okay? So this will, older kids, it's gonna be easy to play whatever way you want to. And I'm not here to scan people age. And I know now it's just like, oh, you see, so what about that person you're with? You see, you guess the wrong age here, so that means that Jesus, tech individuals stay strong. And I hope that my testimonials help somebody. And he helps me right now. He helps me venting and putting things in perspective because there will be perps right now making all kind of noise campaign to be like, now they will prove that you see, I'm 16, I'm an adult, huh? And there's a kid who's like being groomed to frame me. So I'm attacking individuals stay strong.